Morning and welcome to Business Half Hour here on Classic FM 97.3 station, please. Every song you know. Business Half Hour is brought to you in collaboration with Metrics. I am Ifeanyi Atama.
I am Bukola, and in the studio, not in the studio, joining us via Zoom this morning, we have Loretta Egba from Nairametrics, and also our guest this morning is Dayo Ademola, and she's the Manager Director, Branch Nigeria.
All right, Loretta is making her debut today. She's listening for Uwa. Good morning, Loretta.
Good morning. Good morning. Really happy to be here.
Yes, okay. It's good to have you.
And we have Dayo Ademola.
Yes, Dayo Ademola.
She's our
guest. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Dayo. Dayo, what exactly is Branch? It's a funny name to have, though.
I know, right? So Branch International is a digital bank. We started out as a lending app here in Nigeria. So we are operational in Nigeria, Kenya, Tanzania, and India. And basically with Branch International, you're basically able to do, almost all your banking services. So we give you, you have access to unsecured lending. We have a wallet product that works as an account from which you're able to make free transfers. You're able to pay your bills, so your electricity bill or to buy airtime on your phone. All of this commission free. And then we have an investment product that you're able to earn 20% annual returns on your investments.
Okay. Before we go into Branch in detail, tell us, Dayo, what exactly were you doing before then?
I'm sorry, I missed your question.
I said before we talk about Branch in detail, could you give us a background before you decided to go start up Branch? What were you doing? Can we have a background?
Oh, okay. So my least favorite topic, background of myself. So I've been working in financial services and technology effectively for the last 15 years, at the risk of dating myself. So most recently, I was working in financial inclusion, helping to run a multi-million-dollar innovation fund for an organization called EFINA, which is funded by the UK government and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Now, this fund was basically used to catalyze products and projects with financial services in Nigeria that could help sort of speed up financial inclusion. And most recently, that focus, of course, has been on fintech. Before that, I worked in traditional banking, even though I don't consider myself a traditional banker, in strategy, corporate strategy for Union Bank, most recently. And then prior to that, I'd worked in a couple of technology companies since moving back to Nigeria.
Larissa, you have a question for her?
Oh, yes. Hi, good morning once again. Standing in for Nairametrics, so some of my questions would be on the money, you know what I mean? But one thing that has, piqued my interest from what you said is that, I'm hearing unsecured lending, I'm hearing, commission-free airtimes. So how does the business sustain this in a sense? I see that it's edge, but how are you making that possible for your customers?
Well, I mean, the first thing is our lending business has been in Nigeria for about 3.5 years now, and our lending business is profitable. So we have a micro lending model. We started out with a license from, a money lender's license from the Lagos State government, but now we are fully licensed and regulated by the CBN. And so the reason why, to answer your question more directly, how we're able to afford sort of the advantages that we give to our customers. The first thing is our lending business is profitable. So, that works. The second thing is, if you compare a fintech like Branch to your traditional financial institution in Nigeria, you'll see that our operating structure is much leaner and therefore relatively less expensive. So a traditional bank basically is required to operate branches across the nation, operate ATMs across the nation. And so this is Nigeria, right? So those branches, you have to power them, you have to secure them, you have to staff them, right? So that's a much more expensive operating model than you would have with a single location fintech that is delivering 100% of its services digitally, right? So we're able to pass on some of those savings to our customers. So, that's why that works. The third thing is we are backed by some of the biggest and most well-known investors across the world. I'll give you an example of two. One is A16Z, which should be familiar to you, early backers of Facebook and Twitter and board members on those organizations, as well as Visa, which is the financial services company, global financial services company that everybody knows. And so with investor backing, we're able to make certain bets in a market like Nigeria, where growth is key, and there's a lot of confidence that we can do very great things here. So that's effectively how we're able to bring these services to our customers.
Okay, start out. How was it? How did you? What gave you the inspiration to want to start out this business?
So Branch was founded by a gentleman called Matt Flannery, who is a global CEO and co-founder. And the other co-founder is another gentleman by the name of Daniel Jung. Now, both of them, Matt in particular, founded an organization called Kiva.org. And Kiva was a non-profit financial services organization that was basically facilitating P2P lending. So, people were able to, if you give money to Kiva, Kiva was able to distribute those funds to people in need, particularly in Africa and other parts of the world. He did that for about 10 years and was basically inspired to begin a model of a for-profit model that would also help tackle some of the same issues regarding financial inclusion and getting financial services to people across the world. So our first market was in Kenya in 2015, and a couple of years later, we were then founded in Nigeria. So the overall mission of the organization is basically to get affordable financial services to people as securely as possible, and to basically have treat our customers in such a way that they feel respected, they feel, because some of the practices that I would say some of our competitors, particularly in this market, do, we're very strict against doing things like that. Things like, if you're defaulting on your loan, we contact the people in your contact book to say, Lagbaja has not paid back his loan, go and talk to him, or you start sending out really nasty messages and calling. We don't do any of those things. So we're founded on basically customer service and customer experience is our first mantra.
Yeah, I couldn't help but pick 20% ROI. Is that not a little on the high side?
Annual.
Yes. Annual, yes.
Annual. I'm not promising you 20% in 30 days. It's annual.
Even annually, it sounds really, really nice. Is that sustainable? And how do you sustain it? Or what kind of investment also?
I mean, it's sustainable because, sort of the same answers I had for Loretta earlier. Our lending business is profitable, right? So we can take some winnings from that and give back to our customers. Just basically with investor backing. So it lasts, it's absolutely sustainable, to answer your question, actually, if you work the model correctly.
Yeah.
Loretta?
Yeah, so as we all know, digital is the future. And in the last couple of years, we've seen more companies emerge in fintech. And what can you say is your edge? Obviously, aside the commission-free and the unsecured lending, what else does Branch have that makes it stand out from all the other fintechs?
So a couple of things. And I think I'd say the main one is the customer experience. So as part of just sort of like market research for my job, right? I'm a customer with, I don't need to name them, but most of my competitors here in Nigeria, just to see what their services are like. And I think one thing that we're overly used to, particularly in this market, is bad customer service. And I think if you go on the Google Play Store and you read the reviews for Branch, I mean, we have, I think at my last count was maybe 35,000 reviews just in Nigeria alone. I mean, we've disbursed 3 million loans, 3 million individual loans since we started business in Nigeria. You'll see that the main thing our customers talk about is the customer experience and the customer service. And I think that is really, really, really key. If we say we're going to do something, we do it. If we say we're going to, if you have an investment with us, we're going to pay out your interest earned over the period weekly, every Monday morning. We move hell or high water to get you that interest payments to you every Monday morning. No excuses. You know, if we say, you know, you can get your loan within minutes, we make sure that you do that if you are approved for a loan. So I think I would say the edge that we have, particularly in this market, is customer service. A whole bunch of other things. You know, we also have our app experience, which is best in class. And I personally know, you know, people working we have people working 24 hours a day around the clock, basically in different markets, basically making sure that the app works and it says it does what it says it's going to do. And you know, so I think that's our main edge. We also have sort of, like I mentioned, the backing of some fantastic investors who take the long view in a market such as Nigeria and know that if you're looking at Branch globally, Nigeria is basically the tip of the spear to be able to transform into a full digital bank. You know, if you can win in Nigeria, you can take those learnings to many markets across the world. So that's, you know, I would say like those two things are the main things that give us the edge here.
So regular funding, how do you fund the business? I know you talked about investors and all. How do you fund?
How do we fund the business? Was that your question? Sorry, Bukola, I can't really hear you.
Yeah, that's my question.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we've raised several rounds of investment. Well, not several. We've done 3-4 rounds now. So our seed and then Series A through C from investors, you know, in the US, because we're headquartered out of San Francisco. But to run our business in Nigeria, we also raise debt capital locally to help fund our business. And like I mentioned as well, our lending business is profitable here.
All right, so let's talk about the branch wallets now. How do I get a branch wallet and what are the benefits of it?
It's very simple. If you have an Android device, you go into the Google Play Store, search for Branch or Branch Nigeria. You download the app. There's some basic KYC information that we request for, you know, your name, your BVN, and, you know, Bob's your uncle, Betty's your aunt. You have access to our wallet and our investments. There's a bit more that's required, obviously, if you are going to apply for a loan, because we need a little bit more information to be able to do that. And then you're able to fund your wallet or your investment directly using, you know, transfer from an existing account that you have with another institution, or you can fund with your debit card as well. So it's actually, it's a very simple process, start to finish. Shouldn't take you more than 3 or 4 minutes.
So what's the minimum? How does this work, you know? There
is no minimum. You can put as little or as much as you want in either your wallet, your investment account, or both. And the other thing I think that is important to note is that with the investment account, there's no lockdown period. So if you put in 10,000 Naira today, you can take out 10,000 Naira tomorrow. We're not looking to hold on to your funds. So as much as you put in, you can withdraw at whatever time you need to.
So with this kind of program you've got running, who are the people you get mostly that come on board for your services?
I mean, it runs, that's a very interesting question. I think as far as market segments go, it actually runs through everything. You know, for our investment product, you know, whether you are on the lower end, the lower end of income earning or the higher end of income earning, you know, 20% it's a great deal. If, you know, and also given the fact that, you know, we're not holding onto your money for any period of time, you have immediate and constant access to your money. So we actually, you know, this is actually a recent question we've been asking ourselves. With the launch of our wallets and investment products, you know, there really isn't any real market segmentation. I mean, I have like older members of my family who are branch customers simply because it's such a great deal and it's such easy access. And then you also have obviously the younger, more tech savvy side of the market who, you know, are just constantly shopping for the best deal and the best possible experience. So I would say that's generally who our customers are.
Okay, so I'm curious about what kinds of investments or investment deals. I'm assuming your customers also have the opportunity to invest. Yeah. So what kind of investments, you know, what's the balance of your investment portfolio to ensure that you can, you know, make enough returns to both sustain the business and, you know, give your customers good interest rates?
Just to understand your question, are you saying what kind of investment opportunities we give directly to our customers, or how do we manage funds that are held with us?
So it's a bit of both. So what kind of investment options do you give your customers first? Then obviously when you invest for them, what kind of what is your portfolio like in order to ensure that, you know, their capital is safe and then you're making good. Yeah.
So to answer the first question, what kind of investment opportunities we give to our customers, it's completely vanilla. You invest with branch and you get 20% return. So we're not, at least not yet, giving our customers the opportunity to say, okay, do mutual funds or, you know, do stocks and bonds or do whatever, right? And the other side of the question, what we do with the fund. So what we're promising our customers is that your principal is secured, right? So you're not putting your funds at risk. So on the flip side of that, what we then do is we only invest in securities that are principal assured, right?
Okay.
We're not putting funds at risk for anyone. Yes, that gives us a lower rate of return than what it is we're giving our customers. But, you know, I earlier explained how we're able to subsidize what we're giving our customers because we're able to take advantage of other aspects of our business that are a lower cost model. So that's what we're doing.
Right. Branch is digital. Clearly, we have some digital concerns. How do I trust branch with my BVN and other details? Right. Plus, what's your data protection policy?
Well, I mean, the first thing to note is we are fully licensed and regulated by the Central Bank of Nigeria. So we're not a fly-by-night organization that you might see sometimes where you just, you know, come up with an app and then, you know, you check 30 days later, the app has been kicked out of the app store. You don't know where your funds are. So that's number one. Number two is, you know, data protection and data security is paramount for us. So a lot of the data that we actually collect, for example, to make lending decisions, we actually don't hold on to it. And those decisions are algorithmically made. So there are no human eyes, you know, on that data. The third thing to note is we are NDPR compliant, which is the Nigeria Data Protection Regulation compliant. But we've also gone the extra mile and we're GDPR compliant, which is the General Data Protection Regulation, which is the European Union's, the EU's data protection regime, which is actually some of the strictest in the world. So we've gone that extra mile to make sure we're compliant with even that regime as well. So your data is as safe as it can be when you're a branch customer.
Now let's talk about your staff. What does it entail working with branch, and what's your mode of operation?
So this might sound like a marketing pitch or, well, you know, branch MDs is on the radio, so what else is she going to say? But I can honestly say that we have one of the best working environments anywhere in the market and also anywhere in the world. I've worked across multiple organizations, across several countries, right? And I have to say that at a branch, you know, the happiness and the security of our employees remains paramount. So for example, as with everybody else, 2020 was a very, very difficult year. You know, but we went the extra mile once we went into remote working, we did things like, well, if people are at home now, they're going to be spending more money on diesel and on data and all of this stuff that they would typically if you're in the office for 8 hours of the day, you don't necessarily have to worry about. And so we, created this extra stipend so people would be able to fund their work hours at home, so they can, whether it's petrol or diesel for your gen, whether it's the extra amount of data for your computer and your phone that you need to buy so that you can stay connected, we're able to do things like that. We take things like sort of like health insurance for all our staff members. So for example, for me personally, the HMO plan that I have as the MD of branch in Nigeria, the most junior associates in branch, the most junior person in branch has exactly the same health plan. So it's not, there's no stratifying it because you're senior or you're junior. It's the best possible healthcare in the market is what you get. A third thing would be something, for example, like what we call a dolphin day. So one of the things that global research showed was when everybody moved into remote working, you're actually working longer hours than you did when you were going into an office. Because there's no, shutting your laptop and going home. So one of the things that we did for branch globally was there was one day a month, and it's always a Friday, where globally you're not allowed to work. In fact, you actually have to, in some Slack channels, report back on what fun thing or relaxing thing you're doing with yourself and your family that particular day, just to make sure we help to manage employee burnout. So yeah, branch is a fantastic place to work. It's a great place to work, I have to say.
I already working with branch. So yeah, I just want to talk about the business environment. We've seen COVID-19, it's been domiciled in Nigeria as well. How do you, mitigate the challenges of the environment, health-wise, economic-wise, all of that?
Well, I mean, on the staffing side, just internally, some of the things that, we've talked about, we went into remote working very early. We're still in remote working actually right now globally. We haven't returned to our offices yet. And this is just to sort of make sure we do it in as safe and as healthy a way as possible for our staff members. Business-wise, so large chunks of 2020 was tough. So globally, what we did was we sort of pulled back, effectively shut down lending, right? To just sort of secure ourselves, because if people's work was uncertain, then obviously their loan repayments are going to be uncertain as well. So we really pulled back on that just to help manage our default rates and everything. But when we kickstarted it again towards the end of 2020, I would say in 2021 now, we are at higher volumes than we were pre-pandemic. So the business has effectively rebounded, really, really well. And our default rates are also quite low, comparatively speaking. So I would say that the business is well on its way to recovery, but we basically had to back down the hatches in 2020 just to make sure we have something to sort of try to revive as opposed to running the business out of the ground. So I think we've rebounded pretty well. I know we've rebounded pretty well in our operating markets, particularly in Nigeria.
All right, we're talking about your operating markets and Nigeria in particular now. What are the biggest challenges that you face here?
Sorry, I always giggle when I'm asked this question because we're all Nigerian, so we know we all have answers.
Yes.
You know what I mean? We all have answers to this question because the same problems that you have in your personal life, you have the same. If you're running a business, you have some of the same challenges, right? But I mean, so for us again, it's nothing out of the ordinary. You have regulators to manage, you have infrastructure to manage, you have customers to manage, that kind of thing. And I don't necessarily, in fact, I've gotten to a point in my career that I don't even think of them as challenges anymore. It's just what needs to happen for business to move forward. It's just what you need to do. You do what you have to do, basically. Yeah. And your business moves forward, basically.
So where are you seeing branch in the next 5-10 years?
So, I mean, we are operating on the thesis that, banks like ours are called, generally called neobanks or challenger banks. And the work that we're doing, particularly here in Nigeria, is to give our customers products and services and the type of customer experience that they haven't had anywhere else leading up to that. So if you look at the fact that most Nigerians, for example, don't have access to lending from traditional banks, right? For most Nigerians, transacting with regular banks, so whether it's you're trying to make a transfer, you're paying for something, it's relatively expensive, right? So we are building a challenger model that says banking doesn't have to be that way. And with the proliferation of technology, you actually don't have to get up and go anywhere to go and get your banking done. So that's what we're looking to do, to continue to do and iterate on and perfect to grow our customer base and become a real challenger bank in this market. So when you're calling the names of any of the big banks, Branch is going to be in there. At least that's what I'm personally working towards. That's the legacy I would like to leave behind.
Loretta?
Okay. Yeah, you said a whole lot today. But just one thing, who is your typical customer like? So what kind of people are you trying to attract? Who's your target audience? As a way to say, if this is, who you are, these are the kind of services that suits your business. Yeah.
Yeah, so first things first, I think the best way to define our target customer segment is we're looking at the technologically savvy underbanked, right? So you have a smartphone, you have an Android phone, you have a bank account or 2 or 3, but you're actually underbanked. If you look at the complete suite of financial services products, you don't really have access to them. So those are the customers that we're targeting, right? We're trying to improve the rate of underbanked people in Nigeria. So yes, you have an account. Yes, you have a BVN. Yes, you have a phone. But really, the way the traditional banks are building out their services, you're not top of mind for them, but you're top of mind for us. So that's basically who our target segment is.
All right, we have a question here from a listener. It says, can I fund or withdraw my investments, my investment process directly to my ATM or debit cards?
So the answer to that question is yes and no, in the sense that a debit card is tied to a current account, right? So if you have money in your account, you're able to use your debit card. So you can fund your accounts directly, and therefore effectively you're funding your card directly. But it's not like you can, use your card number and fund the card directly. You're actually funding the account the card is tied to, if that makes sense.
All right. I saw somewhere also that if I refer a friend, I get a bonus. How does that work?
Yes, it's actually really simple. You download the branch app. You'll see a tab that comes up that says, here's your referral code. And you can share that referral code via WhatsApp or text message or email with anybody in your contact list. The person in your contact list clicks on that, on the link you send them. And when they open their account or fund their account, you get your bonus credited to you directly.
All right, Dayo, we'll come to the end of the show. And usually at this point, we get to ask you, what is that mantra that makes you go get that goal every morning?
So the branch tagline is better than your bank, right? And I think what gets me out of bed every morning is ensuring that that is actually true. That with every customer that comes into Experience Branch goes away thinking that is actually a much better experience that I've had with my bank. So professionally, that would be it. That's what I'm trying to work towards every day.
And personally, what is it?
Oof, that's a more difficult question. No, it's fine. I mean, personally, it's I'm a new mom, newish. I mean, he's over a year old now, so I think I approach life a little bit differently than I do now, particularly given the pandemic, and he was born in the height of the pandemic, and all of that. I think my approach to life these days is to basically try to make sure that if at any point, whatever it is I am doing, this little boy looks up to me and is trying to figure out what it is I'm doing, there's nothing for him to be ashamed of, right? There's nothing for him to have to hide his face and say, wow, I can't believe my mom did that. I think that's basically the guiding mantra at the back of my mind these days. Because I mean, prior to that, I didn't, I tried to be a good person, but you're not really thinking necessarily with anybody's eyes on you, and you're actually setting an example for others.
All right. Thank you very much, Dayo. Loretta, you want to throw in a few words before we go?
Oh no, thank you. I've learned so much. I've taken notes. I'm downloading your app.
Yes, please. I expect everybody listening right now to go and download it. If there's anything that you believe that I have said that didn't work, please just contact the station. The station will let me know. Please go ahead and try it out. Seeing and trying is believing.
All right.
Available in the Google Play Store.
All right. Thank you again, Dayo Ademola, Managing Director, Branch Nigeria. Do have a fantastic day ahead.
Thank you so much. You too.
All right. Loretta, thanks again. Hopefully we'll see you again next week.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
All right. Remember, Business Half Hour comes your way here on Classic FM 97.3 station. It plays every song you know every 8 o'clock and runs all the way to 8:30 on Mondays. I am Ifan.
I am Bukola, and we'll be right back.